Namaste, and welcome to the Hindu Parenting Podcast. As parents, we know the important role that toys play in shaping a child's future. And what is childhood without building blocks? When it comes to building blocks, most of us think of Lego. But when we look at Lego carefully, with an Indian lens, we start noticing its limitations. We are happy enough building cars and houses, but what if we could use blocks to build a temple? Sounds exciting? Today, we'd like to introduce you to Indic Bricks, a startup for Indian-themed building block sets. Let's talk to Meghna ji, the dynamic young founder of Indic Bricks. A special announcement before we start. Meghna is generously offering a special limited time discount on Indic Bricks products to subscribers of Hindu Parenting on Substack. So please subscribe and enjoy your blogs. A very warm welcome to you, Meghna.
Namaskara. Thank you so much, Rekha ji. It is my pleasure, absolute pleasure to be on this podcast with you. I follow your newsletter on Substack. I've been listening to your podcast and I thoroughly enjoy it. And I hope your listeners will enjoy our chat as well today as much as I enjoy them.
I'm sure they will. And I'm also sure they can't wait to hear more from you. So let's start with what exactly is Indic Bricks all about?
Sure. So Indic Bricks is a young startup based out of Bangalore. We started about 2 years ago with the idea of making our heritage and culture cool and contemporary and more relatable for the current generation. And in that process, we realized that it is not just for children, but also it has an appeal for adults as well. We actually started to make products for children, and a lot of our customers who were buying our products turned out to be adults. And we see the appeal and the need is there not just for children, but for adults as well. It came about for us in a way because I have been working with children for the last 8 years with my other company called Makers Loft, and I had a chance to interact with children very closely. And children, they don't have filters, so it's very easy to understand what they're thinking, what's behind the thoughts, what matters to them, what influences them. They're very transparent. So I saw that they are so influenced by Western media, Western franchises, the Marvel, DC, Pokemon, Doraemon, etc. And that is that is so important for them, that they those characters define what they think, what they dream, their creativity. But at the same time, I saw them losing touch with Indian heritage and culture. Not just them, like not just our students, but I also saw in my family when I saw, my nephews, my sisters, and my brother's sons. I saw all of them growing up very closely, and this is the same time when I was also on a journey of rediscovering our heritage and culture. I am born and brought up in India, in Calcutta, in fact, and then I went on to study and I lived abroad. I lived in the US, I lived in Switzerland, France. And I honestly learned to appreciate our culture and heritage and value it when I lived abroad. So, sometime during the pandemic, I chose to move to Bangalore, where I had lived earlier as well.
Okay.
And it so happened that Indic Bricks, in fact, they are an important part of Indic Bricks. I came and chose to live at that place where my neighbors, they are very Indic inclined. One of them is a PhD in yoga. The other one also very, very Indic inclined. And I kind of spent a bit of the pandemic with them. So I would say initially in Indic Bricks, they brought the Indic, I got the bricks. And we three came together, and that's how Indic Bricks was formed. So Atul Sinha, Gunjan Mohanka, and me, the three of us, with this cooked and brewed over the pandemic. And then we came up with the idea of, why can't we do something for kids with the building blocks? So that's how it came about. But how it was destined for things to happen this way, if anybody had asked me even 6 months before I was doing that, I would have said, what are you talking about? And they took me more on they nudged me further towards the whole Indic journey, and they were knowledgeable. So there I started to get answers. I started to learn things from them. And then, of course, it was unleashing of, total unleashing of things for me.
So this
Talking
is a
about
very beautiful story, you know. Yeah, but why blocks? What made you choose blocks as the medium?
Yeah. So blocks was because, like I said, I brought the bricks in the sense that I've been working with bricks for the last 8 years. We used Lego as a platform with children for the last 8 years. From 2 years to about 12, 13 years, we worked with blocks of different kinds, simple big blocks to blocks which had more engineering, with sensors and motors and all of that. So we worked with Lego a lot. So that 7, 8 years give me a very good, I kind of I understood the ecosystem very well. I understood what it did for children, how it helped them with their creativity, attention span, their spatial skills, how it developed their brain with math, science. I saw all of that, so I understood the end consumer part. I understood how parents saw value in that. So I saw that. Then there were some parts about, okay, how these things are built, how they are made, the kind of, all that, some of the things which I did not know, then I rolled up my sleeves and I learned those things as well. But I saw a lot of value in what it was doing for my students. I saw a lot of value in what it was doing for my nephews. Like I said, in fact, they were the ones who got me into Lego in the first place. And I therefore thought, this is a great tool. Can we combine this with our heritage? In my conversations, this is all pandemic conversations. Can we combine the two? And this has a universal appeal, not just with children, but adults as well. There is something called Adult Fan of Lego, which is a huge community of people. And I said, this has a universal appeal. This is a language of the hands that is universally spoken. In India, in US, in any country, this language is a language of the hands that is universally spoken. And this can be a very interesting point. And incidentally, I'm not the first person to think about these things. When I started the company, and we are selling now in 20 countries, in fact, I got a lot of people who came and told me that, I had thought about this so many years back. I had thought about it. So a lot of other people had thought about it. Some had even tried to do something, but nobody had gotten as far as we've got now. And so that's how it all came about. And other people have imagined and wanted it because, the only set that Lego has done ever of India is the Taj Mahal. In fact, they've done two versions of it now, but they've not built any other thing of India. And I mean, when I came to, I knew of this and I was like, but there is so much that we have, in terms of our heritage and culture. And I knew that there are certain things that company, the Lego, would stay away from, whether it is religion and, certain things like military weapons and all, they stay away from it. So I knew that they were probably not going to do it. And, we were not going to wait around for them to do that. And we understand our culture, our heritage, our architecture. We have a much deeper understanding, although we might not be experts, and I'm not an expert in Indian architecture by any imagination, but intuitively we connect with a lot of things. It's a part of who we are. It's a part of our everyday thing. So I thought we are best positioned. Why should we not do it? And that's how we started. And we don't know many things. And I'm just learning. We all are, my entire team, we all learning, as we went from Ganesha to the Mandir to everything. We've learned so much. We're still learning so much. But it's such a fun journey, for us as well to be on.
Yeah. So let's talk about the type of Indic blocks that you make. Can you give an idea or an example of the types of sets that are available for parents to choose from?
Sure. We have a small range of products now. We started with, of course, Ganesha being the Vignaharta. So he was going to be the first deity that we started with. And Then we, we are kind of spoiled for choice when it comes to India. My God, what do we do? Where do we build? There were few things that were always standing in our head that, temple was always there. So the architectural set, the series that we have, or the tangible heritage series that we have is the next, which consists right now. We have the Nagara temple, we have the Hampi chariot, we have the Hawa Mahal. These are the ones that we have. We have some other models that we made that are not released in the market, like we made the stepwell, for instance, as well. We have a small fridge magnet of Dravida, of a Gopuram of a Dravida temple. So that's what we have in terms of the built architecture sets. Then we have done some other deities as well. So Krishna was next, which came from customer demand, in fact. And then we have a Durga, but it's not ready for the market yet. Then we made we started with kind of our storytelling sets. We've started with Ram Ravana. So these are two characters in one set. Then we also looked at our intangible heritage, like yoga, for instance. So we have a set of 5 mini yogis doing different asanas, which is available as a set of 5, or you can also buy them individually in single packs. So that's pretty much the range that we have right now.
So typically, how many pieces do the sets have? What is the complexity and suggested age range? How soon can a child start on your sets? Are they complicated?
Sure. So the yoga sets are probably the easiest. Each yoga pose is about 50 to 70 bricks or so. And although they are smaller pieces, but any child who has fine motor skills, and if they are grown up with blocks and all, for them it will be easy. But 5 years should be able to start building these. These are very simple, not too many steps as well. So the yogas would be a good entry point for children. And then we have that even the temple and the Hawa Mahal is also, it's a very symmetrical building. It's a facade of the Hawa Mahal, but a very simple, repetitive kind of design. So if you get one, then the rest is all repetition. Very easy to build. Even our temples, they have a lot of symmetry. And so if you build one side of it, you get these are also easy builds. The toughest builds that we have, of course, is the deities. The Ganesha is probably the toughest build, which we say would be probably for 8 years and above, especially people who have who have worked with wooden blocks, or who have intuitively have a hands-on skills. If they have good vocabulary of the hand, I would say they can build it. So the Ganesha has about 484 pieces. But it's not just about the pieces. Some pieces tend to be also small. You can have big pieces and lesser pieces, etc. But some of the pieces are small, and I'll tell you why that happened is, Lego is very kind of rectangular, square pieces, sharp corners, etc. But if you look at Indian forms, everything is very organic. The soft edges, rounded, curved, whether it is deities or temples, domes, you look at, right? And those pieces are not part of the regular kind of Lego set parts that are available. So we had to kind of, to do justice to our figures, of our forms, imagine Ganesha with the belly, with his legs, the face, the trunk, everything is curved, right? To do justice to that form, to make that form, we had to use very small kind of pieces to make it that beautiful. And for us, we had a lot of iterations of the Ganesha figure as well before we got to it. But we had to get it to a point where we saw it and we felt, wow, it had to be a jaw-dropping moment. That is the moment when we know we have a ready product for the market, where we are stunned by what kind of comes out. Even for the temples, the same thing, the same thing sort of kind of goes in, where we had to kind of be true to the form. Now, none of our architecture products, none of them are built to scale yet. We cannot do that because our architecture is so intricate, so detailed. There is so much to it. It is not possible to do it in 300, 400 bricks, And why are we not using more pieces? Because we also want products that are, affordability, the ticket size, all of those things, are important for us as well. We did not want to build very expensive products that only a few people can afford. In fact, we would like to bring kind of price point down. We therefore also came up with smaller packs, etc., because we want, as many kids in India and abroad to have access to these products.
Your thing about Ganesha is so cute, even to think about it, it's so cute, really. I'm sure there must be some stories that you would like to tell us, about how a Ganesha set might have, you know, induced a bonding between generations in some house. Is there something like that you'd like to
Oh,
share?
yes. Oh, yes, absolutely. And our customers have been, it means a lot to them. It's not just a Lego set that they have brought from a store, right? It means a lot more, the product. First of all, the joy that people had when they learned that there was something like this that was available, that people instantly share that with us. They are like so happy that we are doing such a thing. That we get almost from every other customer. We get that they're so happy that we exist and we are doing what we are doing, and they always tell us what else they would like to build, and then they come back and
Makes
share
it
the story.
makes it all worth the while, no? This
Oh, it
kind
is
of
total,
feedback.
yeah, job
Yeah.
satisfaction all the way, I would say that. So we've had some very interesting stories about the Ganesha. Few things, actually, features and benefits we did not think about. So one was, and this is two customers independently on separate occasions and came and told us they had bought the Ganesha for Ganesh Chaturthi, and they said that, this is our sustainable Ganesha. So we are going to build it on day one of Ganesh Chaturthi, and we'll have it. And for 10 days, we are going to keep it. And on the final day, we will dismantle it in water. We will do Visarjan. We will dismantle it, then wipe and keep it away. And the next year, we're going to build it again. So this is our sustainable Ganesha. So that's one very interesting story. And because we had not thought about it, and now come to think of it, yeah, in fact, that's great. Next thing I think is Durga we have to do, because Durga, I come from Calcutta, and it's a big deal over there. We do
Yeah,
Visarjan for Durga as well. So yeah, I think that's a great thing that we learned from our customers, actually. Then
that's
of
very
course, with
nice.
Ganpati, yeah, with Ganpati, the other thing is there that some customers bought it for their children, but the grandmother liked it so much, she took it away and she said, "This is going to be in my puja room." So it was something that brought the kind of the three generations together. The parent who bought it, for the child, and then the child now is a gift, a toy that the grandparent can relate to it. Because if you look at our toy box today, I mean, what is it full of? What the characters that, I mean, Star Wars, Pokemon, Doraemon. I mean, grandparents have nothing to say or do about it, right? They have no context to these things. So once a child beyond a certain age, once the child steps out of the house, they are largely the DC Marvel franchises, these franchises, Barbie, whatever, it takes over, right? And grandparents don't have much context on it, so there is little for them to kind of connect over. And here we have completely turned that around with Ganesha, which now the grandparents have so much to offer, so many stories they can talk about, right? Of how the why does it have an elephant's head, how the stories came out, so much they have, content they have to connect with the child over something that the child loves, which is the building blocks. And so it kind of connects generations. And about the grandparent, and the grandparents are so fond of it. In fact, there have been grandparents who have come to us and said, "Can we buy the Ganesha?" And I've asked, how old is your grandchild? And they said 2 years. And I'm like, no, it's not, they're not ready for it yet. But
Yeah,
because they have such a desire to give it to their grandkids, they relate. This is a toy they would love to buy for the grandkids.
So, in many
yeah.
ways, you are building bridges between uh, two generations.
We really hope so. We really hope so. Because
That's
we have such, our stories are so interesting and not just interesting and fascinating. Our characters are so beautifully built. But there's also so much to teach with them. Where it's science, it's human values, and if there is a medium which can facilitate those conversations, those storytelling, then I mean, really our job is done. And then eh, a job of trying to people connect to our heritage and roots, that yeah, that's done.
The other aspect of Indic Bricks products that I have personally seen and really loved is the colorful, valuable brochures that you make. Could you talk a little bit about that? Because
Yes.
I think you also have material in there for children to be able to grasp the history, say for the Hampi temple, the stone chariot Hampi, and
Yes.
they can start conversations with their grandparents and learn so much. And also, I've noticed that you have a very nice quiz that accompanies each set.
Yes. So when we started doing these boxes, we like the education. Our tagline is "Teach your children well." So that was always on our mind, that it has to be something educational. It's not just something that you build and then you keep in the showcase. But there were so many interesting points and certain. We wanted to nudge people to know certain things, but we wanted to nudge people to also think about certain things as well. So we decided to have a flyer where we had basic information. For instance, if there is a Krishna deity that is going, then we have the iconography for it. What are the important festivals related to it? The story, there's such lovely stories around Krishna's life, right? The snake Kalia, how he was born, about in the Mahabharata. So all those stories in a small way, we've kind of built it into the flyer. What are the famous festivals around it? Which are the famous temples of Krishna? So we have all of that in the flyer. Then we have a small accompanying 10-question quiz as well, which you can ask. And I think it's not just for children. There were a lot of things that we learned as well in the process. So we kind of that we were surprised to learn. We're like, oh, how come we didn't know about it? So we put those in the quiz as well, because I think not just for children, even for some parents, they might not know about some of these facts. So it goes beyond just as something that you build. It's a very mindful experience. You connect with for instance, the energy of Krishna while you do that, but then you also learn something with it, which is something different than we do than a traditional Lego set.
Yeah. So how would you start kids off on this? I mean, suppose it's a kid who's starting off new with bricks. Is it easier to do deity sets and then move on to architecture, or it's all just dependent on the kid, or how is it? More number of blocks, I mean, less number of blocks to more number of blocks. Is there any thinking on that, or it's all dependent on the the aptitude
So
of the buyer or the customer?
So, yeah, there are some sets. So it's not about a DT, or it's about the simple models like a Ram Ravana model. It is very simple. We have a DT, which like a Ganesha, which is very complex, but we also have a Rama, which is very simple. So it depends on the simplicity, and every box comes with a very detailed step-by-step instructions. So if you just follow the instructions very carefully, then you should be able to build. Which also builds in children that the logic, the ability to follow visual instructions, the ability to look at things from three-dimensional perspective. This is how it looks from the front, this is how it looks from the back. So that kind of the spatial ability it builds as well. So there are different sets. Like I said, the yoga set is something which has characters in it, but it's rather simple to build. The Ram Ravana, we intentionally, that is a set for children, purely largely targeted at children. So it's kind of simple, and it's symmetrical, so you can build it easily. Some of our monuments also, like Hawa Mahal, is easy to build. It's very symmetrical design. Once you build one Jharoka, you're able to build the other windows and then stack it up in layers, and it's easy to do. So those are the more organic the form is, the more complex it becomes. Like the Ganesha, I said, is the toughest set to build. If you take the Hampi chariot, is a simpler model. If you even in life, if you think of it, it's a simpler model. If I did a Konark temple, for instance, that would be more complex, challenging. We have that in the pipeline in the future. So yeah, the simple looking models are more easier to build. So for kids, I would say to start with any of our mini yogis are good to start. The Ram Ravana set is easy to start with. Then after that, some of the architecture sets that we have currently, we have a fridge magnet, which is very easy, very little less parts, and you stick it on on a little plate and build almost like a 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional sort of a thing, and you can put on the fridge. Easy one to do. And then you can get onto the temple, the Hawa Mahal Hampi chariot, and graduate from there to Krishna and then eventually to Ganesha. This is from the current portfolio.
Okay.
Yeah, so Meghna, parents are always looking for birthday gifts and return gifts. Other than these big building sets, do you also have items that can be used, or rather that can be bought for large scale gifting? Suppose, I have an event and I want to give 30 people something, a small product. I don't want to give a big building set. Or if I have my child's birthday party, I want to give out something small as a return gift. So what can we do for some such occasion?
Yes, absolutely. We've thought about both personal gifting as well as corporate gifting as well. So for like if you want to give small kind of return items, and in fact parents have done that. Some of them have bought our mini yogis. So we have individual packs. So you can buy one asana, you can buy Bhujangasana or Vrikshasana and any of these sets. So these are small packs of 650 each for India. And you can buy these separately, and or you can buy, we have the little fridge magnet as well, which is also for 650. So these are small boxes and they make for great return gifts as well. And even for corporate gifting, there is something, because I was talking to somebody who works in the Karnataka government, and they said we're just tired of giving the same shawl and the same things again and again to people, right? That people just take and they do nothing with it, right? And here is something, or people who actually come from abroad also, this would be such a nice gift to give to them, because this would be something they can also like Lego or building blocks is something they relate with. And here they're getting a Humpy chariot. So imagine they're getting something of the state, and there is a element of Indianness and architecture, yet there is an element of kind of of universal, international. It's international, but it's Indian as well.
Yes.
So these items can be used both for bigger corporate gifting, you want to give it to leaders, people who are doing speeches, etc., for events, etc. You can use that. But also for personalized gifting, parents can use it as a return gift, or if you want to give to a number of people, wedding favors, there are certain events where you want to give it to a lot of people. These make for great sets, and hopefully we'll add more to this kind of offers as well. And one thing I wanted to mention is that where can you get this? I think that's important. So you can buy any of these products on our website, which is www.indicbricks.com. Indicbricks.com. So you can buy it online. We ship everywhere in India, and we also ship across the world too. So if you, whichever country you're in, US or Singapore, etc., you will see the prices in your currency. You can purchase it online, and we deliver. We ship, like I said, we sell in more than 20 plus countries. So in fact, US is a big one. UK, South Africa, we have a lot of customers from there. So we have experience shipping in these countries and handling. So that's not an issue. In India also, we ship across the country. In India, you can also buy it on Amazon. Online, you can buy it. Our products are available. Apart from that, we have now started selling through some shops in Bangalore as well. There is Cinnamon, there is Kavade. In Hyderabad, we have a distributor, in Coimbatore as well. And we are adding more shops as we go. And there are some other, companies also who sell traditional products who've also begun to partner with us. There is Conscious Souk, there is Khoj Crafts, who are beginning to sell our products as well.
We will be providing the links to all of this or many of these things on our post, when we put up the podcast itself, so our listeners can
yes,
access.
and in fact, we have a offer for your subscribers of your Substack newsletter, where there's a special deal only for Hindu Parenting subscribers. They get 10% off on any of our products. It's a limited time deal. You'll get all the details in the next Substack letter, or if you have to subscribe to it, make sure you subscribe. It's a very valuable, it's really valuable. The content is really, really good. So I encourage those who are listening, if you're not already subscribed to it, please do. And also you'll get our discount code over there that you can use. Discount is not available to anybody else, so this is an exclusive deal for your customers. And now the festive season is coming. I know a lot of parents buy it for different festivals, for Diwali, for Christmas, etc. So make sure you get your hand on these products.
Great. So I think before we close, Meghna, where do you get your ideas for products? How do you work?
So one, we have an active process of asking customers what they want. Ultimately, we want to be giving things that customers care for. So we have a product poll on our website that people can go in. If they have suggestions, they can fill it out. They can tell us what they want. So we are always actively looking for inputs from our customers. But we also want to do justice to what we have in terms of our heritage. Like I said, we have our tangible heritage. We have our intangible heritage. We have a dharmic stuff of which there is nothing, literally nothing for children for those things. So we look at all of those. We look at all of those, and we are trying to kind of do something. So we've done one Nagara style temple. We want to do Dravida style temple, but we also look at what is up and coming. For instance, the Ram Mandir is coming up in Ayodhya, which there is a lot of excitement in our country about. So that's a set that we are working on, which will be one of the largest pieces that we have so far. It will be 2,000 plus pieces. It's going to be a limited edition set.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be it's beautiful. I've seen the design. It's gorgeous, and I think customers are going to love it. That will be limited edition item. So that's how we look at multiple things, that people really care about. We have had Ganesha for 2 years, and a lot of people have told us, why don't you make Lakshmi Mata as well? And that would be like a great set for us, because people are not just using it to decorate it on the shelf. I mean, it's going in the temples. I mean, I have seen Ganesha with haldi chandan on its forehead, the like a Ganesha. I did not think it has made it to the Golu stands. It has made it, then it has made it to the Shera to the Diwali celebration. It has made it. So people have been asking us for these things. So we definitely look at inputs, but we also look at the feasibility. Like the Golden Temple is something that we've had a design for a long time, but the feasibility of getting the golden parts, and there are some limitations and considerations. So then we have to look at can we do justice to the design? It really has to be something that people feel proud of. We feel proud of putting it out there, and people should feel proud of that they've bought something that really looks gorgeous. So we have to, then the price point has to be right. So we look at things from many different angles, but we want to have representation across a lot of what India has to offer. And of course, there are some of the, deities are very popular, of course, and there are more and more. We want to do the Devis as well, so we are working on that too. So we want to do so much, but it takes time. It takes a lot of time. There are a lot of iterations for each model, and if we could show you how we start, sometimes it just feels like Hanuman. We've been working on a Hanuman, and to get the expressions
that's
right.
One sure shot. That's one sure shot. Hot off the blocks model. I'm sure, because there are. Hanuman is like so popular. So
yeah, and we have we have a couple of versions of Hanuman, but it's still not there, like how Ganesha, what it did for us. All of us saw it and we were like, just wow. So Hanuman, we haven't got there. We have Hanuman is also in different poses. So to get that, should we get it in the standing pose with the holding the parvat? Should it be sitting? How should it be? So there are a lot of deliberations that go on. We have some very, very interesting discussions in the team about things, how people feel about it, things, So yeah, like I said, we have a lot more things that are not in the market that we could probably get, but we look at we have to look at the commercial angle as well, the feasibility of it. Sure. Is it right for the intended audience? Like the Rama we made, it's very simple Rama. If you compare our Krishna is very complex, bigger model, huge. But then it was not about getting the Rama correct. It was about this Rama Ravana set was about storytelling, about having something for children. So those we are constantly making those kind of choices about what we want to do. and what's appropriate for our audience.
I'm actually looking forward to the dance poses sets that you mentioned. Typically, Western blocks are so skewed towards the cars and planes, and there's not much of an organic feel to it. And sometimes girls do feel a little bit locked out of those choices. There are, of course, many girls who enjoy that, but then there could be some children who really like the organic feel of this yoga and dance and the deities, the personal feeling that you get. So I think you're crossing the bridge there too in terms of its much broader appeal.
Yeah, Rekha, and it's very interesting. You mentioned that. I must share some experiences that we've had. So we've been running exhibitions around the country with our products. Last half of last year, I was, around doing a lot of exhibitions, standing there. Because it's important for us to get feedback, how customers think about it, to see how children react to it. The first reaction, that's the most valuable that we get, right? And we saw naturally a lot of girls were attracted towards the Krishna, just naturally. A lot of the guys were attracted to the humpy chariot with the wheels, but it just
Yes.
goes on to show how our characters, like if you look at the characterization of Krishna, I mean, it's been done so powerfully. It elicits certain emotions in you. The Ganesha, when you look at it, we've had a lot of children who come to us. We get a lot of expat kids in Whitefield in our office over here. How Korean kids are just naturally attracted to the Ganesha. The Brazilian kids, Korean kids. It just Ganesha. There's a cuteness about him. That.
Right.
Children who do not know the form Ganesha, they are naturally attracted to those things. The stepwell was a big surprise for me because the stepwell is a geometric form and I wasn't sure. I mean, I know I love it and a lot of adults like it, but stepwells is something that children typically don't know about. It's one of the best kept secrets, I think, of a lot of our architecture. I think apart from Taj Mahal, Qutub Minar, Red Fort, there is so much that, we have. These are all our best kept secrets people don't know about. And I wasn't sure, but children were naturally attracted to the stepwell, when we put it out there. It's not a sold piece, but we've carried the model that we have in-house right now. And they really liked it. They wanted to build it. So it's just a matter of giving them exposure to those things. Children have a natural inclination, is what I'm finding, to these things. They would see the yoga poses, then they would try to do the Nataraj pose and see how long they could stand in it. They would do at the stall. They would come to the stall. They would try those things. Can you do this? Can I do this? How long can you hold? And they will get the names. If you call it a tree pose, the child will call it a tree pose. If you call it a vrikshasana, which is what we do, each of our product, we're trying to bring it and make it more and more Indic. They will call it vrikshasana. It's not that difficult to say the word for an Indic child. So it's not just a product, but also the vocabulary that we're using around it. We are trying to make it more and more Indic and Indian. And I know we started with certain things, and now, but now we call it the Mandir series instead of temple series, or like Bhagwan Shiva. And we need to, because a lot of our words, you cannot translate. They get mistranslated. Even for that matter, I don't like to call it religion, because dharma is very different than religion. So to convey the true meaning, and our children should know these things. We need to call our yoga poses by their names, because they convey something else and something different. So we are also being mindful that you will also find in the literature that is along with our products. And now also we are trying to introduce it more and more in our branding. I mean, it is a journey for us. We are learning. We as a team are learning so much. I will tell you, when we started doing the Nagara Mandir, I mean, I love to learn and research. I went and bought the agamas. I bought the Manasara. I kind of go to it was a bit of boiling the ocean, really. But I'm fascinated by it. I have all these books now in my place, and they were not directly helpful to the literature that we did. But I learned about the Vastu Purush Manasa that is there. I learned so much while doing it, that it is a very gratifying journey internally for us as well. While we do it, we learn so much about these things. And whenever we learn something new and striking, we try to put it either in a brochure or in a flyer or in a product literature anywhere, so that, as we have discovered it. And I think there are so many other people who would love to discover those things about our heritage.
There's also so much more dignity in calling something by its right name, the Vrikshasana or the Parvatasan, rather than, very awkward sounding English terms like a downward dog pose. I mean, I never quite got over it when I heard it for the first time. So that's like that's something awesome to be teaching your kids, right? A downward dog pose. It has indignity written all over it.
You will not believe it, Rekha. We got chided once by an American woman on one of the name of the asanas. She came very strongly on Facebook to us, and she told us that we had wrongly named an asana. The spelling was all over the place. And we were very surprised at that feedback. And that woman said that she has learned yoga. She knows yoga. She's learned it from some Indian guru. But the very fact that how that akramatic thing, how she came at us oppressive, it did not show the values of yoga, first of all. In India, we have so many different traditions, schools of yoga. And there are certain poses that have different names under different schools. And I don't think any of them have any qualms of calling it a different name. And they don't go around saying that your name is incorrect or my name is correct.
That's true.
It's
such a cultural thing, though, because I think the live and let live is so innate in all of us. We don't really go around saying, no, what I have is right.
And here I have somebody from Iowa who's coming and telling us that you are teaching wrong, your spellings are incorrect, and this thing. And then, we had to go back and tell her that, explain her exactly that this is how it is. But, in this one of the values, anybody who's truly doing yoga, you don't go around and it's not in our culture. It's not part of the value that we're teaching under the yogic system as well. So it was, it was very interesting when this happened. I'll share another interesting anecdote with you. We recently had this guy from NASA. He works at NASA. He's an American gentleman. He came and he bought the Ganesha set from us. And he came in person because he couldn't buy it online for whatever reasons. And then I had the opportunity to meet him. So I asked him that, did he know about Ganesha? And of course he knew about Ganesha. He knew a lot about Ganesha. And he said in the NASA laboratory in Los Angeles, where they work, they have Ganesha over there. And that is placed at the Ganesha statue is placed in a place where they have all the important new machines, the new equipment and everything, the important stuff comes. So because he said that is the obstacle remover. So anything new we start, it passes through that gate. That's where we have the statue kept. So he bought the Ganesha from us. And then sometime later also he came and he also gave a talk and all. And then we asked him what else he would like. And he said he wanted the Krishna because he'd been reading the Bhagavad Gita. And he knew about the fruits of, about what the main message of the Bhagavad Gita, about, do your karma, don't worry about the fruits, and so many things he was able to talk about. But he was learning about, he was reading about it. So there are, look at, there is this, an engineer from NASA who's, who was able to relate to our culture because we had given him that something that the building blocks, right? That was the connecting, that was his connect to our culture, And when he found the Ganesha, he was able to engage with our culture in a way that was familiar to him as well through the blocks. And it kind of gave him a way to then know more. And he was so happy. He took the Ganesha back when he reached the US. He built it, he put it in his house. He, of course, sent us a picture and of the Ganesha statue that he had been. So, so our products, in fact, are not just being brought by Indians, but a lot of other people have bought it as well, either to, because they know about, our heritage or culture. And people from Italy, from Spain have bought it and they've added to their collection. Or people who are into yoga, who are not Indians, but who are into yoga, they've bought it because having the set in their house or in the office kind of helps them connect with that, of being mindful, of being healthy. It helps them connect to it. So I think it's just the kind of beginning of the journey for us. I don't think it's just for Indians, it's for anybody who wants to engage with Indian heritage and culture.
Yeah, and I'm also so delighted that kids have a choice now. We can move beyond Marvel or the Barbie doll with its blonde hair, blue eyes. And I mean, it's not just a question of an Indian Barbie with the same structure, being modeled in a sari. This is something so entirely different when you think of a yogasana pose, or when you consider building blocks that showcase classical dance. It's at an entirely different level of learning and pride in our heritage for every young child.
Absolutely. And I think last year I had gone to Kashi, and I traveled in some of the outskirt villages as well. And even in those shops outside the temple where they sell a lot of stuff, even the dolls over there were those fair, chubby dolls with golden hair, blue eyes. That's what I played with it as a child. Even now, kids in even rural places are playing with that.
Yeah.
So there is no Indian toys in the toy box of any child in India, whether it's an urban child or a child in rural India. Everywhere it's the same thing. So how are our girls going to feel confident in our complexion when everything that is being advertised as good, or like, to them is fair skin, it's a different color. So how will that's what they will then aspire to be? How will then we have pride in our culture? A lot of children I see these days are into Japanese culture. Why is that happening? They are attracted to it, because they've been introduced to it. It's a conditioning, right? It's conditioning. Their toys, they have all these characters, Japanese characters, manga, whatever they're exposed to. Therefore, they have a natural affinity and attraction. I'm not saying there's anything wrong in it, but that's what I'm saying. It's just conditioning, right? So if you never have a representation of your culture in your toy box when you grow up for years and years, how you don't consider it, you don't associate it with joy, with being playful, with being cool, right? So then it is not cool. But now if you imagine if we had all of those stories, I mean, Amar Chitra Katha did it for many years, and therefore we at least know a lot we owe to Amar Chitra Katha also. But if you imagine these stories were being told, I mean, our stories are fascinating. I mean, one of the things that I think, can we not teach Ramayana, Mahabharata? Can we not teach science and or robotics with Ramayana, Mahabharata as well? I mean, for me, that's like a kind of, the next level challenge for me to do while we teach STEM and robotics to children with my other company, which is all about science. But why does it have to be separate than spirituality and dharma? Because in our dharma, everything was together. It was all unified. There's no separate boxes for math and science and history and culture. It all is in the same box. It all works very much, interlinked with each other.
And very funnily, today it's become a fashion to talk about interdisciplinary. We are always interdisciplinary. We've always been interdisciplinary. We've always been about the whole and never the parts. So always the parts made up the whole. But today now, you have these separate silos, and then now you say interdisciplinary and try and sort of bring them all together under one umbrella. Some sort of gymnastics you're doing, whereas I think we always had it naturally in our culture.
Yeah. So that's what we are trying to kind of, build on now. That's like our challenge. And I don't think this has been ever done before. And that's something that I'm very excited about, how we bring the science, technology, engineering, math, or STEM education, as we call it for children, along with the rootedness, where you know what is your place in the world, where you're secure from where you come from, where you don't look down upon, or you have any guilt or any kind of a low self-esteem about where you come from, where you have that rootedness, you understand that, and that's fine. And then you explore the rest of the world as well, but you are sure about your place in the world, your value system, etc. So for me, that's a challenge. How do we beautifully bring it together in a fun and interesting way? And that's not being done anywhere at all. And that's something that Indic Bricks is excited about.
Yeah.
And just like Meghna, you mentioned your experience while living abroad. One thing we notice right off the bat is the pride people take in something, even if it's only 50 years old. I mean, especially in the US, it's like, you visit this mystery spot, it's like 80 years old, it's 50 years old. Well, we are talking about a country where things are 5,000 years old. And we have never thought about even recognizing, maintaining, or giving it sufficient value to date. So I'm hoping that, products like these and ideas like these will take root in the next generation of children. And we learn to value the absolutely timeless heritage that we are blessed with.
So, Meghna, I think this is really exciting times that we are in, and you're doing some, really cutting edge work in terms of, bringing back our cultural identity into the toy box. So, good luck to you. And we are always there to help you in whatever way we can. And as we told you at the beginning, and as Meghna ji told us, that, we have a goodie waiting for all of those of you who will subscribe to us at Hindu Parenting. Meghna ji has very kindly offered us a discount code from Indic Bricks. So please do subscribe to us at hinduparenting.substack.com and avail of this limited period discount offer.
I'd like to add my thanks to Meghna, both for the offer and also for her support to Hindu Parenting. She was one of the absolute first subscribers to Hindu Parenting and has stood by us all through, encouraging all along. I'd like to just acknowledge that and thank her for that too.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Shalini ji, Rekha ji. It was a pleasure being on the podcast and talking to you and sharing about our journey. Like I said, I don't think I'm doing anything, it's like the elephant and the Mahout, Mahout thinks he's driving the elephant, but I think in this case, the elephant has a mind of its own. I am, there are bigger forces and we are just we are in the flow, we are going with the flow, hopefully in the right direction and doing what needs to be done. This is a time for, the change in India, and we're just a part of the change.
We all are. So I think on that note, we will call it wraps. So that's it, folks, for this episode. We'll join you again soon. Until then, namaste.
Namaste.